नवीन जी,
क्या?
अरे बॉस किस लोगों का आ रहा था, शायद लिंक मिला है कि नहीं मिला है। एक बार रिकॉर्ड नहीं हो रहा है ना?
अभी नहीं हो रहा है।
आप
चालू हो गया।
लिंक एक बार सबको फिर से भेज सकते हैं ना सिस्टम से?
सिस्टम से भेज सकते हैं, बट दैट विल टेक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम। तो नंबर मेरा दिया हुआ है, तो जो लोग भी कॉल कर रहे हैं मैं उनको डायरेक्टली बोल दे रहा हूँ डिटेल्स वगैरह। वैसे इमोजो का रिसीट के अंदर में भी लिंक गया हुआ है।
हाँ हाँ, नहीं अपने और क्या सबको, जैसे सबका ईमेल आईडी एक जगह है अपने पास में।
हाँ, ईमेल आईडी है,
तो उसमें बीसीसी करके सबको भेज दीजिए ना, 1 मिनट लगेगा।
ठीक ठीक ठीक, भेज दे रहा हूँ मैं भी।
हाँ भेज दीजिए। हाँ, और कुछ लोगों का फोन आ रहा है, बोल रहा बड़ा।
सही, भेज दे रहा हूँ।
हाँ हाँ प्लीज।
Sir, good evening, sir. Nitesh Moore, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Sir, good
Namaste.
evening. Sir, namaste.
Nitesh ji, good evening.
Sir, good evening. Sir, you are muted, Nitesh, sir.
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
With your name, we could achieve that 600 registration.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
That with your name only. So thank you to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So had it been open, it would have crossed 700.
Yeah.
Yes. Even we had stopped twice taking the registration.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I have been receiving calls continuously from last 1.5 hours.
Oh.
Continuously. They are not able to register. I said we have stopped because it's
Okay.
more than our capacity.
Right. Sir, is in the chart writing the membership number is mandatory to get the CPE hours?
I beg your pardon, please.
I see in the chart they are writing their membership number and all.
So they did not write it because we have the database. Once they go for registrations on the Zoom, they need to put in their CPA membership number as well as email ID.
Yeah.
So there is
but,
an auto track with us.
Correct.
They did not write even.
Yeah. So you can just tell the I'm just putting a message in the chart.
Yes,
Members will get auto CP once logged in. Need not.
We can hear announce also. So request the members to not to post anything. The membership number, name, or anything in the chat box. Request the members to not to post anything in the chat box. That is a humble request. Your name and membership number is not required to give the CPs. So we humbly request all the members to not to post your name, your membership number in the chat box. If you have any query, that query you can only post in the Q&A box. We are having Q&A box or no?
It's a chat box only, Nitesh ji.
Okay. But okay. In the Institute Zoom, we had this Q&A box. So there is some setting probably.
That is there in webinar mode, sir.
Oh, that is in webinar mode. Okay,
right.
Done. Okay.
It's a one-to-one session, so we would request all the participants and delegates not to put any membership number in the chat box. Rather, use it for question and answer, sir.
Yes.
It's 4:05. I think we could start our session. A warm welcome to Nitesh ji, past chairman EIRC, our today's speaker Premnath Degla ji, my co-convener Sarosh Waika ji. I welcome you all heartily to this session of Bank Audit, which will be enriching for all the delegates. I would request now Sarosh Waika to kindly formally introduce our today's session and do the proceedings.
Thank you, Naveen. Good evening to each one of you present today here. It is a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome Sri D.S. Premnath ji from Hyderabad, who is present here. Sir, namaskar, and a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, sir.
I am thoroughly pleased to witness you all here in this session. It's my privilege to address you all on behalf of Use Exchange Study Circle, AIRC. I welcome all the participants in the workshop in this session. We are truly delighted with your presence. I offer my regards to all the members joining us. I convey my regards to Premnath ji especially. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and coming over the seminar.
Thank you, sir.
The schedule of the seminar will focus on the topic, which is very important for us as on date, because we all are eagerly waiting for bank audits, which happens to be in the month of April, hardly a week behind. So today's topic is CBS controls data extraction, data analytics for reporting under LFAR. It will include more issues to address the full aspects of the topic. I wish this seminar enlightens us all and provides us with approaches to deal with the problems of tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. With this, I welcome Nitesh ji, past.
Yeah, Naveen ji.
Yeah, I think we lost Sarojji's voice due to network issue. I would request our executive committee member Naveen Singhal to kindly introduce Premnath ji.
Thank you, Bia.
Please.
Premnath sir, hello. Can I continue, sir?
Yes, Naveen.
Yeah. Premnath sir is an FCA, DISA, FAFD. He is a Bachelor of Commerce from Sri Venkateshwara University, Tirupati, Andhra Pradesh. He is presently a partner in C. Ramchandram and Company. Sir has conducted internal and external audits of large manufacturing infrastructure, software, and PSUs. He has also conducted several bank audits, revenue audits, etc. Sir has done income tax representations, including international taxation, transfer pricing. He is also into the design and review of standard operating procedures as a part of SAP implementation audits. He is also into study, review, and audit of internal financial control of PSUs, listed large manufacturing and private companies. Sir has carried out forensic assignments of MNCs and large manufacturing companies. He is also a peer reviewer and ICAI FRRG member. Sir regularly speaks on e-filing, XML, XBRL, audit under CBS and GST. Sir is a visiting faculty at several government colleges, income tax department, CNG staff training Hyderabad, National Institute of Rural Development on tools and techniques of internal audit, Central Vigilance Officers on digital forensics, National Police Academy Hyderabad, IDBI Andhra Bank, Indian Bank Staff Training Institute. With this, hello.
Thank you, Naveen, for the introduction. Before we start with the session, I would request Nitesh ji More to kindly address the gathering.
Thank you, Naveen ji, Saroj ji, the learned speaker today. Friends, bank audit, when the name comes, the bank audit, we probably foresee the huge data that we have to, and audit of those data we have to complete within a very short span of time. So friends, probably we chartered accountant lack in adapting the information technology, the Excel's part. Probably we have not trained during our articleship period for that. Please forgive me. Few of us do have trained, but many of us, most of us probably have not trained during our articleship period, probably to use the Excel as a tool to to complete the bank audit within very short span of time. So we thought that we should have one seminar and a full day session with DS Premnathji, who will train us how to complete audit within short span of time and use this technology so that we can add value addition in the bank audit. With this, thank you everyone.
Thank you, Nitesh ji. Now I would request our today's speaker Premnathji to continue with the session. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. At the outset, I thank Nitesh sir for this wonderful opportunity. I thank Views CPE chapter for giving me this opportunity. I thank one and all for joining this session. I hope my voice level is audible.
Yes, excellent.
Right. Thank you. So today's session, I'll formally start with PPT. Right. So today's most important thing at this point is to comply with the ICI Code of Conduct. So the slogan is Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha. So Dharma for the ICI, for the professionals, for we the chartered accountant professionals, is to comply with ICI Code of Conduct. I think Amiyan Rajan, voice is not muted. The organizers may mute all at a time so that it will not create any trouble to the others, please. So we'll start with Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha, meaning if we comply with Dharma, the Dharma will protect us. The Dharma for the chartered accountants is ICI Code of Conduct. So if we, the professional chartered accountants, comply with Dharma, the Code of Conduct, the Dharma will protect the profession and the professional. I don't say that this Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha we need to say every time. We are in fact stating this Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha indirectly in our audit report. Let me just take you into that we are saying in our audit report. We are saying in our audit report that we are complying to the ethical requirements. So what is Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha? What is ICI code? I said ICI Code of Conduct is something Dharma to the chartered accountants. So what is there in ICI Code of Conduct? In ICAI Code of Conduct, in Chartered Accountants Code of Conduct, we say that I comply with the Code of Conduct. What is there in the Code of Conduct? In Code of Conduct, you have, number one, most important, we have ethical standards. Number two, we have technical standards. Number three, we have professional standards. So we are saying in the audit report, we are saying that I am complying with this Dharma. Where are we saying that I am complying with Dharma? I am saying here, I am complying with relevant ethical standards. I am saying here, I am complying with ethical standards. And you can see here, I am complying with professional standards like planning, audit work and all. I am saying here, I am complying with technical standards of financial statements as a whole, free from material misstatements. I am saying here, I am identifying material misstatement due to fraud or error, meaning I have professional judgment and I have professional skepticism throughout the audit. This is what I am saying here. I am complying with professional standards. Here I am saying I am identifying the material misstatement. I am saying here I am having professional standards. Here I am saying I am understanding the internal controls, professional standards. So here I say I am complying with technical standards of accounting standards and all. And this is what I am saying all along the audit report, I am saying I am complying with the Dharma. I am complying with ICI code of conduct. And now it is for the regulators to question. Now, are the regulators questioning us? Yes. Now, regulators are questioning the chartered accountant. Come on, show me the compliance in terms of auditing standards, in terms of documentation, SA 230, are you complying? If you have stated many places that you have complied with technical standards, ethical standards, and professional standards. Now we need to document ethical standards, professional standards, and technical standards compliance, because we are saying here that I have complied with all these standards. And that's the reason why I say again that if we follow Dharmo Rakshite Rakshitaha, no one can stop us, no one can take us to the DC mechanism or prosecution, or no one can raise a finger on us saying that you are not complying to the technical standards. But only one thing that we need to do is we need to maintain the documentation as per the ICI code of conduct, that is technical standards, that is SA 230, that I'll take you anyhow. Okay, having said this, today's topic is on data analytics for reporting under LFAR and IFC. Now, all these years, bank audit means NPA audit. Thanks to the RBI and thanks to many chartered accountants who have rigorously struggled to identify the control weaknesses around NPA, and they have highlighted this to the RBI and to the banks that there are so many weaknesses in NPA IRAC norms that RBI has identified, has recognized. RBI has recognized the efforts of all the 1 lakh chartered accountants who participated in the bank audit. After recognition in the last year, they stated that no more NPA system, manual driven NPA classification should not be there. The NPA classification has to be system driven. The NPA classification has to be on a daily basis. This, if RBI has reached to this position, only because 1 lakh of chartered accountants have been rigorously struggling hard to highlight the way in which banks are manipulating their profit by manual interference in NPA. So no more, there will not be much trouble in NPA identification now. More or less, the NPA will be stabilized, but here and there are so many technical issues still. But those technical issues can be highlighted only by systematic analysis of internal financial controls. So now it is on the auditor's shoulders. Now it is the responsibility of the auditors to bring it to the notice of RBI and the regulators that there are still internal control weaknesses existing, which is contributing to the frauds and which is contributing to the NPA and so many accounting issues. Now it is for us, it is for our fraternity to highlight, all those internal control violations or ineffectiveness. If we don't highlight the internal control violations, the control weaknesses, the ineffective control weaknesses in the IFC, in the processes, in the days to come, we only have to forget about the bank audit. Because all these days, we ourselves have stated that we need bank audit because the NPA is a biggest nuisance. Now RBI is saying we are plugging in that and we have almost closed that weakness. Now you tell me, where are the weaknesses and why should we give one more year bank audit? Let only central auditors do the bank audits. Why do we need so many branch audits? All these years we said because the centralized NPA controlling is not there, branches require an audit and we were contributing it. Now the RBI says, now centralized everyday NPA marking is there. And what else you want? What else reason you have for continuation of the branch audit? Now, all along this session, I will highlight so many internal control weaknesses, ineffective internal control environment. We, the 1 lakh chartered accountants, need to fill this LFR, need to fill this IFC reporting with lot of ineffective control weaknesses, and that alone will ensure or assure, and that alone will make us to get one more year bank audits. If we continue to write yes, no, not applicable in LFR and IFC, and we can only say goodbye to the bank audits and we need to search something else. So with I sincerely request one and all to spend good amount of time in analyzing more and more on the internal control weaknesses rather than on the NPAs. So with that objective, today I'm moving into it. So for that, let us understand the banking industry. And every slide has a connectivity to the internal control weaknesses. Now we can see here, the total GDP of this country is 233 lakh crores is the GDP. Out of that, almost 200 lakh crores is the money supply, and bank credit is 182 lakh crores. Among this 182 lakh crores, you have NPAs worth 13 lakh crores, which are only declared. Undeclared, there are too many again because of various reasons. And banking fraud is around 3 lakh crores. Now you can imagine 3 lakh crores of banking fraud is happening. If you look at the credit, if you look at a percentage of credit of 3 lakh crores over 100 or 200 lakh crores, it looks like only 1% or 0.5%, 1.5%. They say only 1.5% of is a banking fraud. So what? It is not the 1.5%, but it is 3 lakh crores. 3 lakh crores means you can understand total railway system can be automated in this country. And you can have total villages can be electrified. Total India can have a cement roads. And that's a huge amount of 3.05 lakh crores. It's not the percentage over the net credit, but the amount itself is so huge. It's not a percentage. This needs to be protected. And this can be protected only with a proper preventive internal control environment. Automated preventive internal control mechanism will alone stop 3 lakh crores kind of banking frauds. So we'll see one by one. And having said the proof for this kind of frauds existing is the Supreme Court itself has said in its Amrapali judgment that it has observed that there was no monitoring done by the officials of Bank of Maharashtra, Andhra Bank and other banks by releasing the term loan of the companies. Even basic checks, end user funds were foregone. No technical requirements followed relating to release of term loans. Banks acted as mute spectator to unapproved diversion, almost happening evidently in all the banking transactions. Now you can understand under this kind of control environment, we have lost 3.05 lakh crores. Is this control, ineffective control still existing? Still existing as on date also. It is for the chartered accountants to highlight these internal control weaknesses. I take you through all those. Now you may say all banks are already on CBS, and whenever we speak to the branch manager, they said, sir, everything is in CBS. 100% work is being done in CBS. You ask any branch manager, you ask any bank, all the bankers will only say, sir, everything is in CBS. If everything is in CBS, only IS audit is enough. No, then why manual audit? Why financial audit is going on? And yes, IS audit is going on. Now, what is going on in the IS audit? You can see the scope is inadequately covered in the IS audit. The scope of GST, we all know, when the GST audit was announced, you have almost 50 to 60 different types of reconciliations, and you have so many forms to be filled in for the GST, and that much big scope was given. Unfortunately, the GST audit is removed. That's a different story altogether. But still, you had so much scope in GST audit dictated by the GST Act. You know the income tax audit scope, you know the corporate audit scope, but what is the scope of IS audit? Who knows? Is it well published in the domain? Is it well published in the public domain? No, it is only known to the RBI. RBI has given a broad scope, and within that broad scope, the individual banks can regulate or decide the scope within that broad spectrum. And in that scope, it lacks coverage of end-to-end testing, covering all its interfaces, input, process, and output processes are not tested properly. And there are so many, when I say the interface, it's not only the CBS software which is working in the bank. There are 14 to 15 other softwares which are working in the bank, which contribute to the financial data. So, like say fixed asset register, there is another software. HR, there is another software. Loan processing, there is another software. NPA processing, there is another software. Then stock trading, stock market, treasury management, there is another software. MIS generation, another software. Like this, there are many softwares working which will contribute finally to the balance sheet. Now, how many of these softwares are well integrated? Meaning, is the CBS automatically integrated with the fixed assets software? Is it automatically integrated with the HR software? Is it automatically integrated to the NPA software? Is it automatically integrated with the loan management software, and so on and so on and so on? It says no. There are still input, process, and output control weaknesses. There is no testing on configuration controls of all input controls in interfaces and all application controls covering edit and validation checks for completeness, accuracy, reference, validity, calculation, segregation of duties, and so on and so on. What is validation check? I'll come back with a practical example, but you remember what is validation check and all. And there is no scoping of reporting generated from logic and completeness perspective. Only accuracy is partially tested, meaning it is saying there is no scoping for the report generated from a logic and completeness. So what is logic? Let me just take you for an example here. Like say, for example, if an account holder, if this person is a director, and if this person is an authorized signatory to more than 100 accounts in that branch, maybe because he has more FD accounts, more RD accounts, more current accounts, more savings bank accounts, and since he is a partner in many partnership firms, because he is a director in many private limited companies in that bank accounts, whether his name is linked to a group or whether a group is filled in, whether filling in this group is mandatory for if this person doesn't have any other account, will you say he is not applicable, or if this account is group 2, if this account is an account operator for 100 accounts, will you say this person is grouped to all those account operatings? Why? This person is a key beneficial owner for more than 100 bank accounts in that branch or in the total bank. Now, what happens if this person is a key account operator for many loan accounts, and he, with his signature, with his password, he can divert funds from one account to the another account? That can be plugged in with just saying here, he is related to a group of 100 companies here, and this group can be linked to all the 100 companies where he is a main account operator. Then what happens? You can write a logic stating that wherever, in whichever account, if this person is a key operator, funds should not be transferred without the authority of the higher authority, without the approval of the higher authority. Funds should not be transferred among those accounts where this person is a main operator. Do you have that logic? That logic is not existing in today's bank. And that is what I'm saying. Logic and completeness, perspective and accuracy is not there in the banking environment today. So if such kind of logic happens, what happens? If you have a logic, if you have a syntax stating that this person approval is required when this person is transferring funds from one account to the another account of the head, that will make bank to know how much of loan funds are getting diverted. Today, because of non-availability of that logic today, banks have lost 3 lakh crores of fraud. You know very well, most of the banks frauds are related to the transfer of funds, diversion of funds to the related parties. That is happening rampantly. But even today, that control is missing in most of the banks. And even though they have a field here to configure, that configuration is missing here. And this is what we, the chartered accountants, need to talk in this bank audit this year, especially because there is no more NPA audit. And we, the chartered accountants, should go into every part of the field and start questioning why you don't have a control here, why you don't have a control here, what are the configurations you have. And this is what I'm saying here. Testing of configuration controls, testing of validation, testing of completeness is the key duty for this year audit. Anyhow, it is not only this year audit. You can just look at the internal, you can just look at our audit report 2000, our bank, any audit report. We are saying here, obtained an understanding of the internal controls relevant to the audit. To design, and we are saying here, to design audit procedures that are appropriate in circumstances. Now, sir, we are saying in the audit report that the dharma of understanding the internal controls, I am saying I have understood, but are we really understanding these issues? Now, I say I have understood, but when you are saying that I have understood the internal controls, then how come this 3.05 lakh crores have vanished from the banking industry? Now, if the day one, if I have understood the internal controls, if I have understood the internal controls and highlighted it, still the RBI and the banks are not bothered to rectify it. How many of our chartered accountants have highlighted the internal control weaknesses, have highlighted these internal control weaknesses in our past audit? Now I say it is high time that we, the chartered accountants, should highlight a lot of internal control weaknesses. I'll cover one by one. into these things. And still IS audit, there are master data field completeness. Accuracy is not tested. Lack of data governance and data leakage audit. There is no checking for overall impact assessment of gap noted. What is actually done in the IS audit is a tip of iceberg. Those who do IS audit, they don't understand the business, and vice versa is also true. To my mind, most of the IS audits are done by private limited firms, private limited companies, and they are not chartered accountant firms which are doing the IS audit. Sorry to say this. And those private limited companies are not coming under any code of conduct, but CA firms are coming under, the CA firms are coming under code of conduct. Most of these ESA audits are done by the CISA professionals of qualified under US, and they are doing it, and they are forming a private limited companies, and they are doing it. Most of them do not understand the bank business. And those who understand the bank business, they don't do the IS audit. And this is the reason why you have so many gaps in this. Okay, be that as it is. Now come back to one by one. One by one, let us try to understand the control weaknesses right from account creation onwards. Right from account creation onwards, let us try to understand the internal control weaknesses. Let's move on to this. Yeah. So the first thing is, as I have already displayed it, the internal control weaknesses on account creation. Let us try to understand. Why should we understand internal control weakness? Why should we understand the internal control weakness on the account creation? Because any lapse in creation of an account will result in a fraud of a wrong account being created, a binami account being created, and a fraudster entering into the bank, and he will knock out the huge funds with wrong identity being created. Is this happening rampantly? It was hampering. It was being done. And why even today, you know that the last from 2016-17 onwards, when the GST was created, we know how the GST fraud was carrying on in terms of ITC, because they were not linked with the Aadhaar, and number of shell companies were created, and they were doing GST frauds. And just because they are not able to find out, even today it is being done. Even today it is being done. In spite of Aadhaar linked, it's been going on. When it is happening in GST, it can happen in bank. In bank, it has been done since ages. And the biggest control, the finest of the control should be in enrolling a customer into the banking. So the toughest of the control should be in this part. How? You need to identify. Now, you need to identify and see that one single person will not have multiple accounts, number one. One single person is not controlling many accounts. If so, there needs to be a highest control. If one person is controlling many number of accounts, there should be a controls built around that person so that he will not vanish from the funds. Let us understand what kind of controls are there. Now, first thing is, when you create an account, it will either ask for the 5 of the documents. What 5 documents? Either you can give a PAN number or Aadhaar number or passport or driving license or some other bank validating this gentleman. So if 5 of the documents is given, then he can open an account. But for one account, I will give, for Rohit Kumar Singh, I will give PAN number and one customer identity is created. Next time I will give Aadhaar card, and in the Aadhaar card, my name is Singh Rohit Kumar. And now another customer identity is created. Now I will give passport where my name is Kumar Rohit Singh and another customer identity is created. And like this, multiple customer IDs are created. So what happens if multiple customer IDs are created? If multiple customer IDs are created, number one, the IRAC norms, if one account becomes bad, the other account will not automatically become bad. And because of that, there is a material misstatement in the financial statements. I hope I am able to convey to you. If one account becomes bad, all the accounts related to that particular borrower will not become bad when one person is having multiple customer IDs. How is it? It is like this. You can see here in one bank, you can see in this one bank, customer ID for Mrs. K. Geeta. Customer ID for Mrs. K. Geeta is 604. And there is another account in the same branch called Geeta K. It has a customer ID as 718923750530. 0503. And you can see here all this Geeta K, this is a customer ID. And K Geeta, this is customer ID. And Geeta Suresh Kamath K this is the customer ID. And all this accounts belong to one person only. Now you can understand here where my mouse is triggering. You can look at this. This is a festival advance staff, meaning a staff in the bank has 3 customer IDs. A staff in the bank has 3 customer IDs. Now you can understand if a bank officer, if a bank staff has multiple customer IDs, what can happen to the general public? Now, meaning that the internal controls to prohibit multiple customers in the bank is not operating effectively. Because it is not operating effectively, one person is creating multiple SIF and is taking multiple loans, and each loan is not linked to one another. And even if he flies off, the banking is not able to find out, and still the other accounts are getting operated. Generally, what happens is if one customer commits a fraud, all his related accounts are freezed. But here, since there is multiple SIF, bank is not in a position to identify and block all the other accounts which are linked to one person. This is the biggest nuisance. Now, whether to this extent the controls are very weak. Okay. Now, we said internal financial controls. Let us come to the internal financial controls. So what is internal financial controls? Internal financial controls activity has 3 important ingredients, 3 important things. Number 1, as a part of internal financial controls, the management has to identify risk. It is the responsibility of management to identify risk. After the risk is identified, what is risk? What can go wrong? Risk means what can go wrong. Like in this case here, what can go wrong when a wrong name is typed? When a wrong name is typed or when a duplicate ID is created, why risk? When a duplicate ID is created, the IRAC norms will not work. If IRAC norms NPA identification is not proper, loans and advances will be overstated, profit will be overstated, provision will be understated, loss will be understated because of an error, because of the risk of wrong name being created. There is a material misstatement, number one. So risk is identified. Now, once a risk is identified, there needs to be a controls around that. There needs to be a controls around that risk. Now, once you have a controls around that, now the second thing is you need to identify. Now you have to say how that will affect your financial statements. Meaning, once if I say that there is a control weakness, once there is a risk in creating an account, now whether this risk has an impact on the financial statements, yes, this risk has an impact on the financial statement. How? The loans and advances will be overstated, profit is overstated, loss is understated, provision is understated. Now, wherever there is a risk, if that risk is having an impact on the financial statements, there needs to be a controls built around. Meaning, I am talking about three important things. One, identify the risk. Number two, impact of risk. Number three, controls which prohibit this risk. Come back to this IFC. Internal financial controls. Now I say for a gold loan, I am saying agri gold loan. Agri gold loan. First process is outsourcing of a client. So number one activity. In this number one activity is collection of documents. Next, risk of incomplete, inadequate, correct documents being sourced is the risk statement. Now, I am taking an example of one product. What can go wrong in the loan account? What can go wrong while dispersing a loan? Now you have so many processes. You have multiple processes here. I'm sharing the, you can see here, there are a flow chart wherein you have multiple processes for dispersing a loan. Multiple processes for dispersing. How many processes are there? There are 15. There are 15 processes. There are 15 processes in dispersing a loan. So in all these 15 processes, what can go wrong? Whether ornaments, like say for example, receipt of application along with document from a customer. If there is a wrong receipt of application, will it have material misstatement? Whether errors in pre-scrutiny has a material misstatement. Gold appraiser giving a wrong report has an impact on the material misstatement of financial statement. Loan amount is driven from LOS has a material misstatement. Sanction authority wrongly appraising the loan, whether it has an impact on the material misstatement. Whether client CIF is linked properly or not, whether this will have an impact on the material misstatement. Like this, every process we need to question, is there a material misstatement? Is there a material misstatement? Material misstatement means something loans and advances are overstated or understated, profit is over or understated, and so on and so on. Like this study is called internal financial controls. And that is what I am trying to find out here. The first risk is if you get inadequate, incomplete, correct documents is a risk. Okay. For this risk, if this risk happens, meaning if incomplete and inadequate correct documents are received or taken, what happens? That will result in unavailability of KYC, unavailability of gold ornament document, unavailability of DP note, unavailability of signatures, non-availability and negligence of the officials and so on. Meaning if this risk occurs, the risk will occur in this form of inadequate and incomplete documentation of KYC. So risk, the impact of risk is inadequate documentation. Now, what is the control for inadequate documentation? The control for inadequate documentation is they have defined that all these documents need to be provided. All these documents has to be collected by the bank. What are those documents? DP note, gold ornament taking delivery report, witness, copy of agreement, 2 photographs, memorandum, gold ornaments, copy of proof evidencing agriculture, then customer details, etc., etc., needs to be collected. This will ensure that this risk is not happening. Now, if this risk happens, if inadequate documentation, whether the inadequate documentation, collecting all these documents, is it manual? Collecting of documents, is it manual or automated? You can see here manual, automated, partially automated. Now, whether collecting of documents is manual? Yes, it is manual. Is it fully automated? Like, see, when you and I are getting DSC signature, your photograph, your existence from a particular location is Google mapped with Google coordinates from where you are talking, and a video is recorded and sent to the for getting the DSC signature. That will ensure that a particular person has spoken from a particular place, and that particular place is linked to the Aadhaar and that location and that address. These are all, and that is uploaded. Once it is uploaded, only then the DSC signature is generated. It is not manual, it is automated, and maybe it is partially automated also. But here, such an important control is being driven as a manual. And what is the control monitoring? Who monitors this? This is monitored by automated maker and checker, no maker and checker, and maker and checker. Now, this collection of data is maker and checker, but not automated maker and checker. And this is not preventive, and this is manual. Look at this. This is manual. And they say this is not, is this a preventive control? Is it a detective control? Is not mentioned here. Now, if something goes wrong in collection of these documents, whether your income and expenditure, whether your assets, whether your presentation will have any impact, banker is saying it is not applicable, sir. This is what I would like to highlight here. If the risk of incomplete documents, banker is saying it will not impact the financial reporting, meaning if there is any error in creation of name, bank is saying it will not impact. Is it true? I hope many of you will understand. Creation of a wrong name will definitely impact the financial statements, whereas banker is saying it is not applicable. Sir, this is what I am telling again and again to the members, that we have to spend good amount of time on this classifications. Last time, most of us have done internal financial control reporting. Sir, how many of us have read this complete statement and agreed with this? And to my mind, what the bankers have intelligently done is, after the bank audit is over, and we have signed even LFAR, we have signed balance sheet, we have signed audit report, we have even submitted our bills, and after that, they have sent this document in a printed Excel formatted print, wherein one print they have cyclostyled or they have xeroxed multiple times, and the content is also so faded. They have Xerox copied it multiple times, so that we are unable to read the content. Except for the bank round seal, we are unable to read the content on it. To that extent, banks have gone and got these IFC certified. And to my mind, most of the chartered accountants have given a clean IFC report, and they have nowhere applied. I'm sorry to say, some of them or most of them or whatever have not applied their mind on whatever classifications they have given it. You can even now, the IFC certificate what you have given, even now you can extract it from your documentation papers and go through. I am damn sure that there are so many things we have missed out in internal financial controlling. Now, if this is the way we are certifying it, I am sure in next 2-3 years of time, RBI itself will say that you yourself are saying that the control environment is fantastically working. Then why do we need branch audits? I hope I am communicating the importance of internal financial controlling. I hope I am communicating you properly. My words are clear to you about the way in which you need to approach for internal financial control review. Now come back here again. Out of so many processes. Now, having said about this control weakness, let us see an example in this case. I hope my screen is visible to you. I think you can read it. Please read. Since most of them are on the computers or on the cell phones, I would beg you to please read. I would request you to please read and relate that to very first risk. You can read it and you can express your opinion now. Please read it. I would request you to please read. The content on the screen and please relate to, I beg you to relate to what we have just now studied. And if you have anything, please do post on the chat so that it encourages me to discuss. Yeah. Sir, I would request the members to please react on the chart after reading this and this RCM. Yes, Mr. Naveen Shingal says physical position is not taken here. Yes, any other? Any other? Please respond. Let's have a discussion so that I am not on a one-way bulldozing you, and any session will be more interesting, especially to the speaker when there is a lot of interaction. Otherwise, in a virtual session, I don't even see any face. I don't even see any reactions in a virtual, and I don't know. We don't get any motivation in speaking further. It looks like I am doing namaz, because in namaz you only see a plain wall. So like that, I am doing the session. Okay. Good to see the loan dispersed with incomplete document, insufficient KYC guidelines are not followed. Very good, Shrikant and Hemant. But what control should have been? What control should have been? Gita Ramanujam, what control should have been there? What preventive control should have been there? Yeah, Mr. Naveen, what preventive control should have prevented such a big fraud? What preventive controls could have prevented such a big fraud? What preventive is not a manual? It should have been a system prevented. Now, even most of us are having concurrent audits. Most of us have visited the last year bank audit. How many of the controls can plug in this nuisance? Sir, how many of the present day controls can plug in this nuisance? Yes, controls on. Yes. Whatever controls, Mr. Chirag and Mr. Chetan, whatever control, should this be a preventive control? Should this be a manual preventive? Should this be an automated preventive control? Yeah, Mr. Himadri, the maker and checker, you know very well, the maker and checker in Punjab National Bank, Nirav Modi case, 14 years, they have forgotten this. Now, a maker and checker, if the both of them comes together, yeah, automatic preventive control, Mr. Naveen, can only be. So, automated preventive control is to be a system driven, and it should be a system driven. And hence, what I say is that you can now look into the process flow. The legend that is given here is a manual process. This diagram, this dabba indicates manual process. This is manual process. This is manual process. And this dabba indicates CBS process. Now you can see out of 15 processes, there are only one process which is CBS related, and rest of it is all manual processes. All manual processes are leading to maker and checker, and they can be compromised. And once compromised, and you can find this kind of big loss. Now you might be wondering whether this is true. I will take you through the CBI. Now, this is an FIR filed, exactly what you have read down here. Superintendent of Police filed on February 2021. SBI has filed this case. You can see here SBI manager filing a case to the Central Bureau of Investigation. Now here the points what we have read is Now this is where we have, these are all the accounts given. And this CBI, you might be wondering, how do I get the CBI reports? You can easily get the CBI reports from CBI website, CBI FIR. You can get all those. Even yesterday, even 17, there were cases filed even on 17. Every day a case is filed, and out of every 10, you will find one at least bank fraud case. Why we should read? Why this is one latest bank fraud case filed by the PNB on 7th of March 2022. Why are we specific about this CBI case? Is you will find in this the forensic audit observations you can find in this, and those are very important because those observations will talk about the internal control weaknesses. You can see here, I'll show you. Yeah, this is one allegation. Relying upon the representation so made, request accused. The accused shall maintain financial discipline, including timely repayment. Okay, let me just take you to the main part. Yeah. Accused deliberately failed to maintain accounts and failed to abide by the terms and conditions that managing partner of the firm assured, complaint, and so on. Partner's firm is complete, malified, dishonest, the account was declared NPA and so on and so on. Now you will find various reasons also into this. I'll come back to that another one. So you will find various allegations made. Now you can see here the ground of fraud or diversion of funds, manipulation of books of account showing fabricated, inflated stock, and same has been reported to the Reserve Bank. Now, like these are certain criminal attitude or wrongdoings done by them. And once we understand the way in which they are doing, these are all the high risk. These are all the high risks. When there is a risk, there needs to be a control. And that control has to be a preventive or detective or corrective or manual or maker and checker, has to be designed by it. For that purpose, I am saying we need to have this. Okay, from that point of view, I have shown you this. These are all the observations made by the branch, and they have communicated as a part of it. Now coming here to this process. Now, and such a RCM is risk control matrix. Now the risk control matrix has three important things. One is risk identification, controls, environment, and impact on the financial statements. Now look at here, I'll show you. Out of the 15 processes, out of the total 15 processes, let us see how many are manual. How many are manual, maker and checker? I'm just selecting manual, all manual only I am selecting. Now you can see counted. You can see 15 are manual and maker and checker. Out of nothing is automated. Nothing is automated. More than that, here you can see now in how many places income and expenditure and profit and loss account or financial, in how many places financial statement is affected if this control weakness exists. Let us see that here. Let us see that here. You can see, I can say not applicable. Let me count how many not applicables are there. You can see out of the 15 things, in most of the cases, sorry, it is not applicable. Let me just select all here. In this, I am selecting not applicable alone. Now the total not applicable are out of 15, in 10 cases, bank is saying, even if something goes wrong in these issues, their profit and loss account will not be affected. Now, is it true? Now you can see here, you can see at this place, let us take one example. If agriculture loans are being processed and dispersed on so and so, like say loan to value, LTV 75 should be maintained throughout the term of loan. If this is not maintained, the security value will be eroded. If security value is eroded, what is the impact? It will affect your profit and loss account provisioning. But the bank is saying it will not be applicable. Sir, this is what I am highlighting again and again at the cost of boring you. Now we as an auditors need to question their judgment of why they are saying not applicable when there is a risk. Now, why not? You can come to here when they say that the proof of identity, proof of land holding, proof of security is not provided. The KYCs are not provided properly. Now they say here not applicable, not applicable, not applicable. The income and expenditure, assets and presentation, they say it will not affect. Now we have just now understood in this process, if a multiple customer ID is created, it is damn sure that will affect your provisioning now. Sir, again I am saying, again I am reiterating, if KYC is disturbed, there is a possibility of either fraud or possibility of NPAs, possibility of not complying with IRAC norms will happen. And if that happens, there is a possibility that the material misstatement can happen. So all along for more than 1 hour, I have been saying about the importance of internal financial controls. And this year, I'm sure this alone is a batting ground for us in the bank audit. And if this is good, and rest of it is good for us. Now, how do I find out? Now, our problem here is, how do I identify that there are multiple customer IDs? Number one, how do I find out one account is linked to multiple accounts? Because if one account is linked to multiple accounts, and if one person is having multiple customer IDs, that is going to result in a material misstatement. So if that is a cause, I need to identify if there are any multiple customer IDs, number one, and if there is any possibility one person having multiple accounts, contacts, multiple control of accounts. If one person is having multiple control of accounts, if one person is having multiple customer IDs, I need to find out. How do I find out is what let us learn now. So from the customer's account, first thing is we need to take customer master. Once we take the customer master, and from the customer master, on the name field, customer master, on the name field, we have to carry out fuzzy lookup. I'll come back to that. Now, if the banker says, I don't know what is a customer master file, that is how they respond. That is how they respond. You ask anything, they will only say, I don't know. If you ask for balance sheet, profit and loss account, and certificates to be signed, only those things he will give you. And rest of it, he will only say, I don't know. But how do we counter that? How we have to counter that, I'll come back to that. But now, if he is really not able to understand and you recognize it, then you ask for loan balancing file. And this is a loan balancing file wherein you have customer account number and name. CCOD file, customer name and name of the borrower. Deposits, customer name and account holder name. Now what you have to do is, you bring the name and account customer name and CIF field from this file, name and CIF from this field from this statement, name and CIF from this, and put it into one sheet, one below another. And on the name field, you either use sort or filter or special name. Like say, for example, I'll select all. Like where we have, I've seen in one of the cases, our case is K Geeta. So I'll select Geeta. Now you find so many names with Geeta, and if you filed multiple names, you find here, you find Geeta here, and wherever you find in this, whichever are very close and nearing, or wherever Geeta is there, you get their date of birth, PAN number or Aadhaar number, or email ID or address or father name. Once you find some names are similar, then you get the other fields like date of birth or address or email ID or father name or something, some characters, and see whether all those things are also having the same. If so, then you can tell them these are all unique, but you have given a unique ID is being given again. So that is one method of doing it. Then let me close and then. Yeah, that is one way of doing it. Let us look at the other way of doing it. The other way of doing it is using a fuzzy lookup. Say, for example, now here I have taken only names from the master database. I have only taken the names and I'm writing here what I have done. Anyhow, I'll be sharing this file. I'm writing down, I have taken all the names into this and I've written what to do. Now I will use fuzzy lookup. This fuzzy lookup you can download from the internet, from the Google, and add it to your Excel. Now once I add it, within this is called as a table 2. Within this table 2, I wanted 2 names to be taken. What is this? How this will work? Let us understand how this will work. Like say, for example, there is a name called ABCD. There is a name called ABCD and there is also a name called BCAD. Now it is like K Geeta and Geeta K. Letters are same, but it is arranged in a different order. So if letters are same, arranged in a different format, what this fuzzy lookup will do is, it will bring all that into one place. Let us see how this will work. So I'm using, here I want that report to be generated and say, okay. So let me just select this. Okay. There's some problem with this. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, once you run this, I don't want to waste your time. Once this is there, let me just again close and open it. Yeah. Now, once you run that command, in the main field, you find one name called, in the main field, you called one name called Abhinandan Golecha. And it is identifying Abhinandan Golecha is there. And here it is again Golecha Abhinandan, which will come one after another. There is some problem in this, but otherwise, this fuzzy lookup will throw similar names like ABCD, what I said, ABCD. Below that, behind, after that, in the next column, it will show if there is a name below ABCD or CBDA, or if it is DCBA, or if it is ADCA, B, if say, for example, I'll just make this as a table 1. So now if I run fuzzy lookup, I want this to happen here. Now you can see here the combinations. Now in this is what we have considered. This is the names database column. And when I have run it, it says for ABCD, there is a name called ABCD and there is a name called, and for this, there is a name called again. Let me just again do it because I have asked only one name. Yeah. So for this again, it is saying these are all the names which are already existing in the database. Like this, we have found out this K Geeta and Geeta K having different IDs. So what the point what we are trying to highlight here is, if there is a system weakness which allows to create multiple IDs for single person, you can find out that through fuzzy lookup. Through fuzzy lookup, we can find out that, and that is what I have just now demonstrated, and that's what now I have demonstrated to you in this way. So this will highlight how many of the names are repeated in a different form, and that is what we see here. So one person having multiple customer IDs we have identified. Okay. The other one is, how do I find out one particular person controlling many accounts? One particular person controlling many accounts. How do I know? Because each person will have an email ID in the database. Without email ID, now you know very well, no phone accounts, no accounts are allowed. If one person having multiple, one email ID is attached to multiple accounts, one phone number attached to multiple accounts, one PAN number attached to multiple accounts, one father's name attached to multiple, one address is attached to multiple. Through this, you can identify that one person is controlling many accounts. So I have taken the phone number and let us try to understand how this will work. And now I am creating a pivot table, and let us see the pivot table. I am just removing the existing ones. Now what is critical here is, the critical here is phone number is critical, date of birth is critical, email ID is critical, which is common to multiple names. Whatever is common to the multiple names, that you take it first. Whatever is common to the multiple names, phone number can be common to multiple names, email ID can be common to multiple names, address can be common to multiple names, that you take it at one place. And below that, take the name. So that name wise, phone number wise, multiple names, email ID wise, multiple names, father name wise, multiple names, address wise, multiple names. Now, how many names are there? You take it and put it into this. Now you will find here one particular phone number is activated for 185 accounts. For 185 accounts, one particular name, one particular phone number is attached. Like this, you can, if you go down further, you will find here there are 29 accounts you find. There are 32 accounts are linked to one particular phone number. Similarly, you can find here for one particular number, you have these many accounts and so on. And here you can find there are 75 accounts related to one particular account. Like this, this will indicate that there are multiple phone numbers, 114. You can see here 115 accounts related to one phone number, meaning these are all the indicators that one person is controlling many accounts. So what? This is not a prohibition. It is not like that one person should have one phone number. It is not like that. Like, you know, in even income tax, one email ID can be attached to only 10 accounts, 10 logins. That is a command, that is a control they have given it. But in banking, you don't have that, and it need not be also. So in that case, this will allow me to find out, this will make me to find out how many phone numbers are there, how many persons are controlled through one phone number. Through this, what happens is, now the challenge here is, if one phone number is linked to multiple accounts, now whether there are any loan accounts in this, yes, this is a loan account and this is a loan account. Whether the loan account here and this loan account funds are diverted into these other accounts is a risk that we have to verify. How do we verify? How we have to verify is that, we need to take the statement of accounts of all these account holders and place it one below another in this manner. And I am writing here. So I am saying here, obtain related party bank accounts. What is related party? Related party is not as per the Companies Act and the Income Tax Act or the GST definition. Related party for this operative purpose is all these parties are related through one phone number, one email ID, one father name, one address, and one date of birth, one PAN number, one Aadhaar number. If there is a relationship between one phone number and multiple, that I am calling it as a relation. And all those related bank accounts, you take it and paste one below another. Let me show you that. Data, sort, account number wise. So you can see here, I have just taken few bank accounts of those related. So these are all the 657. These are all the accounts for full year. These many transactions are there for full year. And similarly, for account number 181, these many accounts are there. These many operations are there during the year. Similarly, for 485, you have all these accounts. So what we have done is, I have pasted one below another. And after that, I have tagged every row whose account number is this row. I have tagged all this. Then let us try to sort account number. Instead of account number, I will sort it on date wise. Now, once I have sorted on the date wise, you can understand, you can see here on 10th, on 3rd of April, 25 lakhs check is issued to this account number. And this account number is related, you can see here. On 3rd, this 25 lakhs has come into this account. And immediately within 2 minutes of time, you can see the, how I am able to say 2 minutes is, you can able to see the timestamp on the ledger. You can see when this account is created. You can see the timestamp. In the teller account, if you go, they will show you the timestamp of these entries. This entry is happened around 12 o'clock 2 minutes, and 12 o'clock 3 minutes cash is withdrawn. And immediately this cash is deposited. So what I am trying to say here is, if multiple accounts are related to one phone number, and this phone number belongs to Abhinandan, and this person has already another account, which is another SIF number. You can also get their SIF numbers here. And these are all the loan accounts from where we have just now seen. the loan account, this is a loan account, 485 is a loan account. From this account, the amount is transferred to another another current account. From another current account, amount is cash drawn and the same deposited into the loan account again. This is nothing but a round tripping. Now, is this happening? This is happening. And how are you able to find out? You are able to find out through a common phone number. Now, what are the control weaknesses here? The control weakness, as I have stated in my opening remark, this number, this person is having more than 185 accounts, but all the 185 accounts are grouped. You are not saying these are grouped. Because you are not saying this is grouped, the round tripping is happening because there is no control to stop this. It will not stop because it is a CBS, because it is anywhere banking. This person might open in 120 branches, he can open an account with 120 IDs, and he is controlling many bank accounts with single phone number. The branch in which these transactions are happening, the branch manager may not know under which and where are all the accounts related to this. Branch manager doesn't know because he's operating throughout the country, many branches. Now, if you mark this as a group, every branch manager will able to know he is a group person and he is transferring funds from one to the another account, and especially loan funds he is trying to manipulate. In that case, they can stop this by a proper logic, and this control is missing. And because this control is missing, these kind of frauds or errors are happening. Okay. So what is our duty now? What is our duty is we need to report this under LFAR. Where do we need to report this under LFAR? Here, under round tripping. This is a place where you need to under frauds, wherever you see a round tripping. Now it is asking, are there any round tripping of funds? This is what is a round tripping of funds. And this is happening because of the internal control weaknesses here. Now come back. Now I would request the members to respond. I would request the members to respond before we break for a short break. I would request the members as to what kind of controls can prevent such kind of occurrence. And have you observed these things happening? These things are happening even when we go to our client. Forget about bank audit. In our client audits also, we have seen a loan account is going into current account. From current account, it is going into proprietor personal account. From proprietor personal account, it is going into another firm. From another firm, it is going into somewhere. From somewhere, it is coming as a share capital. Are we not seeing this? And how this can be controlled? Yes, as Geeta Ramanujam rightly says, the customer link the customer with PAN and not allow more than one customer, number one. And another is if we can track the movements among the common linked is phone number or email ID or address or anything else. If you are able to do it, then we are able to counter this nuisance. Now, coming back to internal financial controls, whether this is marked as a risk, one person having multiple customer IDs, whether this is marked as a risk, nowhere this is marked as a risk. One person having multiple IDs is not marked as a risk anywhere. And hence, since it is not marked as a risk, they have not marked any controls. Since they have not marked any controls, they are not able to say what controls are there to prevent this nuisance. And they are not able to say whether the financial reporting risk will happen or not. Meaning, if risk is not identified, controls will also not be identified. If risk and controls not identified, they will not able to say whether it will impact material misstatement. So our duty as internal financial controls reporting is to properly validate all the risks identified by them. In the process of audit, if you have identified any risk, ask them for the controls and ask them whether it is going to impact your profit and loss account or not. Properly, we need to ask them. So this is the duty of the auditor. Not only this time, this internal financial controls are there, not from this year or not from last year. This is there from n number of years. The day when the audit was found, from that day onwards, it is there. If you want more specifically, you can go to SA 315. SA 315 is about the risk. SA 315 is the mother of internal financial controlling. Now, can you say that there is no SA 315 in the past? SA 315 is there the day when the audit was born. So all these things we should have been commenting since long, but this year there is a specific comment on the IFC. I request you to kindly look into each and every aspect of the internal financial controlling and then to move ahead. Okay. As I said, I would request you to kindly I think I have not okay, I'll permit me to take a break for a while, and then we'll reassemble. And it is now 17:40. 5:40. We'll reassemble by 5:55. Please give me a break for 15 minutes time. I'll join back.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Friends, in the meantime, if you have any questions or queries, you can put them in the chat box. We'll assemble it so that once Premna ji joins again, we'll be sharing those things at the end of the meeting. If anybody has any specific query with respect to this, they can also share over there.
Yeah.
Since it's a long session of 3 hours, we thought that 10 minutes break would be suffice enough. If any member wants to share any of his bank audit experience with all other delegates, then they can raise their hand for 2-3 minutes. We can discuss.
Hello, namaste. Is
Yes,
I
sir. बोलिए.
Is I am audible?
Yes, Satyanarayana, you're audible.
Yeah. I have an experience which I wanted to share with all of you. So in my past statutory branch audit, I found in some of the cases in agriculture loan or in gold loans, the borrower was deceased. Borrower was deceased. The information is available with the branch. Documentary evidences are available in the branch, but the loan was continued in the name of the deceased borrower itself by one of the legal heirs, not by the nominee, by one of the legal heirs. If there is no nominee, one of the legal heirs. In that situation, and the account is regular also, the bank is getting the money due on the due dates, no issues. But it is a long-term loan, so as an auditor, what should be our role? Whether it will fit in the some points in the LFAR or in the COFAR, I would like to know from the members or from the faculty on this point. But this is one specific area wherein I got an information that entire branch, not only that branch, entire the region and the circle is having only one way of going. They are just ignoring it and continuing. And they express that in other banks also they are doing the same thing. So I would like to bring it to the members' attention to this point also. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Satyanarayana, for sharing the information which you had.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We'll start the session. I'll come back to Satyanarayan sir's specific question on continuing the account. Legally, it's not valid because no nominee is given in that. If you disturb that, the banker's intention is if you start disturbing it, the amount which they are getting will not be, the flow of amount will be affected. As sir has rightly pointed out, it is a gold loan. Once the amount is cleared, then automatically the gold can be released by the family members, and that's the reason why they are repaying the amount properly. And the another challenge is we need to ask as an auditor, if banker while handing over the gold after the account is closed, it has to be handed over to the legal heirs. Now the legal heir certificate has to be brought from the court, but not from the mandal officers. Generally, the panchayat mandal officers, there is a provision to get the legal heir certificate by the mandal revenue officer. That is not valid for the purpose of handing over the possession by the banker. They have to get it through the court only. The court is a valid authority to decide the legal heirs, and it is not the mandal authorities. This we need to identify. The reason again is, if you are handing over the gold to a certificate given by an invalid person, then the bank will be entangled into the legal cases, and that will be another biggest contingent liability on the bank. So these are all the control lapses. In the internal financial controls, we need to identify, if we can identify those cases and you can find out what is the controls built around that risk, and whether that risk will have an impact on the financial statements or not. If management says no, if you agree, it is well and good. If you doesn't agree, you have to make a note of the internal financial control reporting. That is purely my opinion. If there is anything else, can be debated upon depending upon the time. So I think Satyanarayan Garu has received the clarification we can debate upon after some time. Yeah. Okay, from my side, I think the voice is clear. Let us continue with the presentation. Yeah. Right. So let's go back to the presentation and then we'll come back again. Yes. So this is where we were struck. And you remember on one particular field of name, we are debating so much of time on its impact. Now the members can understand the impact of internal financial controls on so many fields. How many fields are there? There are 18 screens, and you can see each screen has so many fields. Each screen has so many fields here. And there are 18 screens for creating one account. Now you can understand what kind of depth and what kind of controllings, what kind of inquiry we need to do with respect to the internal financial controls. Now, I think members will jump to me and ask whether bank is giving so much of time. Yes. Am I right, sir? You'll all say that whether bank gives me so much of time. The day when the appointment is given to you, they say you have to report on, they will give you a big list that you have to sign this certificate, you have to sign this certificate, you have to sign XYZ, 100 certificates. Last time, for way back, I think in 2018 or 19, SBI made us to sign 108 certificates. Now, of course, it has come down to 34 or 35. And they will include so many certificates to be given. Now, I am not for a moment jumping and blindly accepting this assignment. Though money is important to one and all, to everyone, money is important. Everyone has to carry out the bank audit. For money's sake only, we are doing nothing else. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying here is, when we are accepting the assignment, you give them an audit engagement letter. So I repeat, you have to give them an audit engagement letter as per SA 200. How this will be? What is the shape of this audit engagement letter? This is the audit engagement letter as per SA 200. Now I am saying, what is my scope? What is banker scope? I am writing all this. This is the management scope. This is all management scope. Remember, please remember, I am telling them very clearly, I am highlighting very clear that access at all times to all information, including books, accounts, vouchers, blah, 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 all that needs to be given to me. I am saying here includes electronic record access has to be provided. Only then I will be able to do the audit. I am saying this. Access to all internal reporting on fraud. If they are not providing to internal reporting of frauds, how will I talk about frauds in LFAR? What is it asking? Frauds detected, classified, but confirmation of reporting to RBI not available at the record. How do you know this? Unless you ask them through an audit engagement letter, how will they provide you? If they don't provide, now once you have asked them through an audit engagement letter, branch management representation letter, MRL, management representation letter, in that banker has to give that they don't have any frauds. If they say, if a management representation letter saying that in response to this paragraph, we hereby say that there are no frauds. If management says that based on that MRL, you are going to say here, management has reported to us through the MRL dated so and so, there are no frauds reported. And this is how the reporting has to be. I can't say yes, no, not applicable here. Every paragraph, I have to get information, and only based on the information I have to provide. Now, like this, to report on frauds, to report on this LFAR, to report on this various columns of LFAR, you need to ask various informations. What information you need to ask? This is what is given here. How much information? I have just tabulated in an Excel. This is 96. You find here 96 rows of information I am asking. I am asking 96 rows information. Why am I asking 96 row information? Because all this information is to LFAR. I am writing here. I am writing here. What is the information required? You can just see in my audit engagement letter, concurrent audit report for all months, concurrent audit report, annual audited reports for 2021 or whatever. Since this is the last year, I'm just making it as 20. So you can appropriately change it. This is because this is made for the previous year. Okay. Now coming here, all those things I have pasted in the Excel. Now, why this requirement? Why am I asking this? Unless this is provided, I cannot report under LFAR 7. Let us go to LFAR 7. Concurrent audit. Concurrent audit. In framing your report LFAR, have you considered? Now, under this 7A, it is asking you to report about all these issues. So unless they provide you all the 12 months of concurrent audit report or 11 months of concurrent audit report, how will you do it? Now coming here, I'll just deviate for a while. Now in our audit report also, we are saying somewhere that I have done planning. Do you see here? This is the audit report. We are saying here, I have done planning, scope of work, and in evaluating the result and so on. So planning, I'm saying I have done the planning. And that planning, I am doing it here. What is planning? What is the work I have to do? Who has to do that work? How many CAs are going for? How many articles are going for the work? Which CA or which article student will review this? Now, whether bank you have obtained? Yes, I have obtained 10 files. What did you note from that? I have noted that party A unit closed, party Z not submitting stock statements, party M restructuring is not as per RBI, party A, B, C, D, Z and all are NPAs not made as NPAs. This is the observation on the 10 files. Now, you write a letter to the branch manager. As per SA 265, you are writing to those charged with governance. Do you have to say this? You go back to the audit report. Now you find here, we communicate with those charged with governance. You are saying here, you are saying in the audit report, we communicate with those charged with governance. What is the evidence for this? The evidence for that is the audit note. And you are communicating with the, like, this is an audit, this is an auditor, and this is a banker. This is your query. This is the management reply. Based on the management reply, you come back to the audit note, bank reply. If you are satisfied, you leave this. If you are not satisfied, all non-satisfied issues will result in material significant notes. What is that significant notes? I have tabulated all the significant notes as almost all our observations will boil down to 12 significant notes. All our bank audit observations will boil down to this 12 significant notes. That 12 significant notes I am attaching here as a part of any comment you have, any reply you are not satisfied, you have to link it to the significant notes. I am doing all this in Excel. Now, whether the significant noting which you are writing in your audit report will also have an impact on the LFAR? If so, under which clause? If so, under which clause? How many clauses you have? So many clauses you have. It is running into so many clauses. So you have to link to one of that clause. Now, what is the annexure for this? For all the 10 workings, what is the annexure? Refer that. Now, whether this reporting also has anything to do with MOC, anything to do with Ghosh and Jilani, anything to do with any other 35 reports, you write all those things here. This is called as integrated planning. And this is what is the planning. And this is what is the documentation. And this is what is an integrated working. You may ask me, sir, is it practical? Are you following? You all the 400, 700 participants may ask me, sir, are you following? Can you demonstrate? You may ask me. For your confidence, I will demonstrate to you that I am following this. Let me show here. I am following, and this is my working paper. You can see here, this is saved on last edited on 14th April 2021, last time my audit period. And the name itself is indicating here which branch I have done. And you can see here this control sheet, who has done the audit, which branch, who has done, then content, task done by, what are the tasks in the bank audit, what are the tasks in the bank audit. There are 33 tasks in the bank audit, and which audit, who has done it, who reviewed it, date of activity, and who are the teams, what work, LFAR finalization who has done, DS scrutiny who has done, P&L scrutiny who has done, TB analysis who has done. You find all this, and branch info and audit notes. Then you have the significant accounting. You have all this, meaning I am demonstrating to you that it is the integrated audit sheet is put into the Google Sheet. It is on the Google Sheet. It is on the Google Sheet now, integrated audit file. I'm using the same file here. And this is shared to 5 of my people who worked last time. Like this 3 branches we have done. All the 3 files I have even today. And in Excel like this. I am showing this to create confidence in you that this is practical and this can be done by anyone. And this is not only last year, we have been doing it for several years now. And if something goes wrong after 4 years, someone will ask you, how did you come down to this conclusion? Now you have every audit working paper with annexures in the same integrated file in Google, and any time you can access, any partner can access, anyone in the office can access at any given point of time. This is the beauty of Excel. This is the beauty of Google Sheet, where you are working on an integrated manner. Okay. Why we have come here is as a part of discussing the various internal controls to give confidence on the on these issues. What are all the issues that you have to cover? We have come here. Okay, coming back to the this here again, I'm saying that there are multiple fields here to be questioned, and every field you need to spend time. And that is where I said how much information you have to take. We are talking here on this. Now coming back, this fuzzy lookup we have handled, multiple customers we have handled. Now, beneficial owner data is not mandatory field. That is what we have said here in this. Mandatory fields are not adequately defined, and that is what you see here now. Mandatory field is not adequately. So many fields are not adequately defined. Number one. Number two, cash exception, debit and credit. Now, most of us are doing bank audits. Most of our clients are also working. Most of our clients are also bank borrowers. We have seen many times term loan and CC account, heavy cash is withdrawn. But if you look at the term loan sanction terms and conditions, cash cannot be withdrawn. But if cash cannot be withdrawn, why banker is not making this as a mandatory field to block this and make it as a zero? So because you are not blocking this as zero, huge cash is withdrawn and no questions are asked. We as a client of the borrower, we have observed. We as a bank concurrent auditor, we have observed. We as a statutory auditor, we have observed many times. We have even seen the terms and condition sheet, and terms and conditions are there, but the compliance to the terms and conditions is not automated. And this is a big risk. And to this risk, there are no controls, and bank is not identifying whether it will have an impact on the P&L or not. So this is what you need to understand. More than that, you know very well this fraud. Bank of Baroda 6,000 crores is black money is remitted out of the country by opening 38 current accounts. 38 current accounts in Kanpur were opened in 1 week of time by a small group of people with same address, same phone number, same email ID, by same person. All current accounts of private limited companies in 1 week of time in one area. Banker has not even raised a red flag. Why 38 accounts are opened with single phone number, single addresses? No questions were asked. Now, first of all, the bankers have not identified that as a risk. Because it is not identified as a risk, there are no controls. And there are no controls, they are unable to say whether it will have a P&L effect and financial statements effect are there or not. Now, what happened in this case is 6,000 crores, 38 current accounts were opened and all cash is deposited in the newly opened account. When, as per the RBI circular, if a current account is opened, in first 6 months of time, more than 1 lakh rupees of cash cannot be deposited in 6 months. If at all they want to deposit that money, they have to give an explanation. But since this control is not there, banker is not able to know whether this is a new account or not because of anywhere banking. Today, I will open account in Kanpur and start operating in Calcutta. The Calcutta manager doesn't know whether this is newly opened account or old, because not the banker, the cashier who is accepting cash will not know whether this is newly opened account, this is Calcutta account, this is Kanpur account. He will not know. So unless you put a trigger here, unless you put a control here, mandatory field you make it, these kind of controls will not come up. Now, whether this has been made as a internal financial control, this has not been made as a part of internal financial control, and hence these frauds were going on, and hence this kind of issue happened up at that branch. I think now you are able to appreciate the impact of each and every field. Each and every field you need to understand. Not only that. Now, when you have 300 and when you have 18 screens of when you have 18 screens of data which is going on into the banking, you are capturing so much of information. You are capturing so much of information. Now, why are you capturing so much of information? Number one, for the purpose of, you are capturing information for the purpose of decision making. Number two, for the purpose of controls. Number three, for the purpose of compliance as per the RBI or GST or any other compliance act. You are capturing so much of information. You have created fields to capture so much of information. Now, whether this information is used for decision making, whether the information captured at these places is used for management representation, is used for MIS report? No, we don't know. Now, if management is not capturing this information for MIS, should we have to report in the LFAR? Let us look into that. Let us go into the LFAR. Yeah. I hope point number 6, you will appreciate. I think you will appreciate what I am saying here. Whether the branch has a proper system and procedure to ensure data integrity relating to all data inputs which are used for MIS at the corporate level and for supervisory purposes. Have you come across instances where data integrity compromised? I hope now the viewers, the members will appreciate what kind of struggle, what kind of efforts we need to put into in bank audit. Sir, I again reiterate again and again at the cost of boring you, unless we carry out, irrespective of the fees they pay to us, irrespective of the time we have, unless we carry out all these things in the days to come, we only have to sacrifice the bank audit. If I am sacrificing my time and energies on the bank audit, then I need not sacrifice the bank audits. The bank audits keep visiting me. But if I don't sacrifice my time and energy in doing all these activities, I only have to forget bank audit like GST and income tax audit. Maybe this will be very painful. Even if someone tells me the same words, it will be painful for me, but it is a true that we need to sacrifice and we need to carry out these processes, and that is a value addition, and that will only ensure that in the days to come we are going to get much more bank audits. And these many, I hope the members agree with me, the amount of work we need to do, and we have to do it, and if we don't do it, we'll only lose the bank audits. Having said this, I'm not talking as a pessimist, but this is what the regulators in their mind they have. From their point of view, they say there is no value addition. From their point of view, they say LFAR is simple yes, no, not applicable. No stories are written in IFC, no stories are written in LFAR. Then why need to have so much of big audit process? So let 1 lakh chartered accountants think on this issue and dedicate good amount of time and quality of energy that will only ensure future bank audits. Having said, let's move on. And these are all the impacts. Now, I have two more. Now I have two more issues to be deliberated, and then we'll move on to the we'll close this session. I'll talk about two more validations. Now, till now, we talked about the internal financial controls. Still, we have, we'll talk on the internal financial controls again. But now, on the out of order validation. Let's take the example. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Here, I have a doubt on the way in which the CCOD is monitored in the CBS. Let me show you that. Yeah. Whatever I am saying here, I'm just putting it here, what to do. I'm giving you the standard, operating procedure, audit procedures, what you need to do. So as a part of that, I've got the loan files here, loan files of several months. On different dates, I have generated a report. Now you can see here, you can observe here, for the same borrower, report is taken on different dates. For same borrower, the system is saying limit and drawing power is same. If limit and drawing power, if drawing power is even throughout the year, meaning my drawing power means what? Drawing power means stock, closing stock, debtors, stock and debtors, minus creditors is drawing power. Now, is drawing power same throughout the year? No. Why? Because my closing stock every month end is changing. Consumable stock is changing. Finished goods stock is changing. Debtors is not uniform throughout the year. Creditors are not uniform throughout the year. And hence drawing power cannot be uniform throughout the year. But CBS is saying limit and drawing power is uniform throughout the year. This is a professional skepticism. We need to understand why the system is giving every month same DP and limit. Now, when we ask the manager, then he says, sir, we have in the system, if you tick mark, if you highlight, if you activate limit is equal to drawing power, it will automatically take the drawing power as limit. Now, whether the drawing power limit is system generated based on the scanned stock statements, many of the, I hope all the members will accept, the drawing power fixing is manual, but not system driven. And whenever it is manual, there you have biggest challenge, right? So when it is manual, I need to validate how the system is doing, and accordingly, I have to find out the control weaknesses. Now, let us, having understood this, now for which parties I need to validate this? Let us go back to the LFR. Let us see what LFR is saying with regard to this. Yeah. With regard to which accounts you have to verify, with respect to, yeah. Yes, Mr. Rahul Agarwal is asking Mr. Rahul Agarwal is asking, what should be our sample size? The sample size is already given by the RBI. You can see here. RBI has already given the, you can refer to the RBI circular. It has already given the threshold, right? Now, the transaction above the threshold, the transaction detailing need to be seen and commented. What transaction detailing? Transaction detailing with respect to stock statements, with respect to account operation, with respect to each and every transaction. Each and every transaction you have to comment. That is what RBI is saying. Above the threshold sample you have selected, transaction detailing has to be seen. But what about the below the threshold limit? Below the threshold limit, system and processes has to be checked. What is system and process? The system and process is this system and process. IFC. System and process. System and process has to be verified and identify if there are any errors like this. So coming back to the RBI, LFAR, above the threshold limit, transaction detailing need to be seen. How? How do I know? What is threshold? Some percentage is given. Okay. Now, the moment you get the data, the moment you take the data, working files, which working files I have already, which working files in this audit engagement letter we have already given. We have already given which working files you have to take. You have all this here. In the audit engagement letter copy, you will have all those data. And further, in the integrated file also, integrated Excel file also, I have mentioned if Finacle, what files you have to take. If Finacle, what files you have to take. If banks, BACS, what reports you have to take. I have already mentioned in your report, in this integrated file, which I will be sharing with you. Coming back here. What is this? This is where we are talking about. Yeah. So this is what I said, through an audit engagement letter, you have to ask for it. Now, coming back here, once you take the total loan balancing file, you go to this, you go to this, let me just open it. You go to Zoho Analytics, you go to Zoho Analytics. You please go to Zoho Analytics, open this. So once you go to the Zoho Analytics, you register yourself for the Zoho Analytics. Once you register for the Zoho Analytics, you can import your data. Import your data file. Let me show you how to import. It is, if you log into Zoho creating with your email ID, you will get 15 days trial. If you start doing it today, 21st, up to 5th of April only this will work. Don't worry. You are not having only single email ID. Your office might be having another 15, 20 email IDs. So if you have 20 email IDs for 1 full year, you can work at free of cost. I don't think that we are so much bad financial position. You can spend a few thousands, like 8,000, 5,000 rupees. You can work for full year. I don't think we don't have that much money to use a free software. So once you are registered with 5,000 or so on, you can use it for full year. Even if you think for bank audit, why should I spend 5,000 rupees? Okay, don't spend. But you have more than 3 or 4 email IDs. For 15 days or for 1 month, you can work free of cost. Don't worry about it. Okay, now I'll come to this Excel. Choose file. I'm just taking some file here. And say next. Once I say next, again next. So again create. Now you find 1,200 rows of data with 40 columns has been taken, imported into the system. Yes. Now you can see the moment I have imported one loan file, you can see how much of analysis the system has done here. This is the total credit sum and year wise it is. Now the amount of credit belongs to only these 3 years of data, and earlier years not much amount is pending. If you have a graph like this, meaning the credit amount is overdue since several years, that is an indication it gives. Now year to date credit summation is giving here which year longest credit is available. Now year of sanction date. Now the loans sanctioned during 2016 are still continuing here. And there are certain loans which are sanctioned between 12 and 13 and 14 are still appearing even today, meaning these are all useless loans maybe. Now this is the top 10 accounts. These are the top 10 accounts. Now in addition to this, you also have various reports here which are already given here. There are already given so many reports here. You can see this report. And you can see this report. In addition to that, you can also ask so many questions in that. You can write your own report, show. It is like Gmail. When you start writing a Gmail, it is helping you next sentence what it should be. In that way, I am saying show date of sanction as March 20 with credit outstanding. With outstanding. The loans sanctioned during this period are all outstanding like this. This is what is the report. Now you want to change it, you have various other fields. Now you remember there are 40 columns with 1,220 lines, and all 40 columns you can use here. Credit summation. Then name of the borrowers. Then constitution. Total outstanding. Private limiteds are more than any other. This means that this is an area where private limited means company ROC compliances you need to verify. I hope you understand the impact of data analytics on the huge data. And you are not writing any formulas in this like Excel. This is the beauty of it. Why I am talking about this is with these kind of things, you can find out the proper sampling. And that is what our friend was asking. How do I sample? I think Rahul was asking about the sample. I think Rahul understands how to take the sample now. Mr. Ratna is saying, sir, our previous experience was that the branch manager is not ready to share the files on our laptop or via email. Due to that, we have some analytical or Excel tools, and we are not able to. If the branch manager is not allowing you to do it on your system, you can do it on the branch system, because today every banker has a latest Excels now. All bankers are having latest Excel. You can carry out that on that. Even if it is not doing it, I have shown you the audit engagement letter. Now, through this audit engagement letter, you are binding, through this audit engagement letter, you are binding the manager before you accept. Now you tell them, unless you give me this audit engagement letter signed, I will not start the audit. Even otherwise, if the branch management is not interested in sharing, you have every right to you have every right to give a disclaimer in your audit report that you have not made available any data. How do you expect me to do it? Not only that, in the last 2 years of pandemic, all banks have shared the data. I don't know. This question doesn't arise now. All banks have shared the data, and through data only, most of the auditors have done it. And that should not be an excuse for not doing it. And even if they are not giving it, you have every right to have a disclaimer that you have not provided proper information. So that is what I can say. And I am demonstrating what I am doing it. So you should also do it. And this is not a science where if I say, if I am asking the data like this, it doesn't mean that you should also ask the data like this. Probably you may ask the data in some other format, in some other drama we have to do it, because it is not science, it is art. Audit is an art of getting things done. So you must, if I'm doing Kathak dance and getting the data, probably you may have to do a Bharatanatyam to get the data, nothing else. So unless, if you don't do it, tell them that I can't do the audit. But having accepted, you have to do it. If they don't do it, give a disclaimer. That's the end of it. I don't think there should be any discussion on these issues. Now, coming back again. So coming back to the drawing power issue where we have stopped here. The drawing power is not uniform. And hence, if drawing power is not captured properly, then out of order working also may go for a task. Now, how do you verify that? What is out of order? The out of order is, you all know that the outstanding balance, this is the outstanding balance. This is the outstanding balance. If this outstanding balance, if the outstanding balance is greater than sanctioned loan and drawing power. This is the sanctioned limit and drawing power. Then you have to verify that here. On every day, you have to verify whether the limit is within the sanctioned limit. How do you verify? You write down a small formula. Whether balance is equal to sanctioned limit or drawing power. Now, where did you calculate this limit or drawing power? How are you getting? Through a VLOOKUP. I am giving you the formula here. I am sharing the file also. So this is the drawing power. Here I have calculated drawing power. Here I have the limit. From the sanctioned letters, I have updated this on a month wise. From the stock statement, I have updated this month wise. Now both I am taking it here through VLOOKUP based on the date. Based on the date, I am taking here VLOOKUP. And I am saying here whether the amount is within the limit. Sorry. Whether this is within the limit or not, I am able to say this. Now, wherever it is exceeded, I am saying it is exceeded. Now, you can see here. Yeah, here it is exceeded. Exceeded, the moment it is exceeding, I am counting here with another formula. If it is continuously exceeding, then it will go on adding 1 by 1, 1 by 1, 1 by 1. Now, once you see here, when it is going exceeded, suddenly an amount has come into this. and it has come into the limit, say, for example. I'll just make this. So somewhere some huge amounts are being debited here. So when huge amounts are credited into the account, that's an indication that maybe a borrowed amount has come into it. So a loan amount has come into this, and that has been again diverted here. Now, why loan amount suddenly? Because the account is becoming continuously exceeded. Branch manager has accommodated this account to see that this is within the limit. And this amount, after becoming a limit, again being withdrawn. So, point what I am trying to highlight here is, you have to work out with a formula to verify whether the system calculation of NPA and our calculation of NPA is one and same or not. You need to verify through this process. So this is validation of, this is what I am saying here, validation of NPA of out of order. Validation of out of order, we are verifying it. How we have to do it? I am giving you a file, you can understand through that. In addition to that, if you look at the diversion, if you look at the description here, there are HDFC, and you will find so many names here. There is Kotak here, there is SBI clearing here. You have so many things in this. Now, let us see Idea and some steel companies, all these names are there. Now, if I want to know how many HDFCs are there, how many SBIs are there, that if I can convert this into a pivot table like this, now I'll just clear the descriptions. Let me see, I have seen some SBI payments are there, SBI. Now you can find here there are clearing, SBI clearings are there, and you can find the Kotak bank clearings are there, Kotak payments, HDFC is there, which says that these are all the loan EMI loans serviced from the CC account. You can decide whether it's a diversion or not. And more so, there are accounts begins with 10. Now these are all the amount, these are all the accounts to which amounts were withdrawn. These are all the accounts through which accounts were withdrawn. Now, whose name is this? This is the name of the person. How did you get this name? You are using VLOOKUP. From where VLOOKUP? These are all the deposit accounts. This is a deposit account here. This is the deposit account, deposit holders of that branch where I have account number and name. Now you find here all those names. Whether these names are related to this borrower, how do you know? A number of times I think I have talked about the TOEFLer. You can find with the TOEFLer. Okay, instead of using this name, let us take one fraud case recently reported in the CBI FIR. Let us see in CBI FIR some company name, and let us try to find those. Let us see a private limited. Yeah. Corporate guarantee, BMRC Construction Private Limited, BMRC Construction Private Limited, BMRC Construction Private Limited. Now company network expand. There are 2 directors, expand. Now you can see this company has so many companies. This person has so many companies. Now again expand this company. Now again company expand. Now this person has so many other, and he is having so many other things. Like this, if you look into this, if you look into the account where we have seen here this FIR, you will definitely find a corporate Roshini Infra Builders. Let us look into Roshini Infra Builders at this point here. Whether the company network here, Roshini, you can find here somewhere Roshini, here Roshini Infratech. Now you find here Roshini Infratech, which is a co-guarantor and none other than the related parties here. And this is already there in this FIR, Like this, you will find so many companies which are written here. All those names, you will find all those addresses, all those names, you will damn sure to find those names and addresses in this. Now, what are we doing? What is this FIR? What is this forensic? The forensic is trying to establish who are the related parties, from whom the money has come, to whom the money has gone. The forensic auditor has reported it. And after the fraud has happened, someone has started digging the data and trying to establish relations. Now if the same work, if the same relations, if the lender, if the bank is able to identify, if the bank is able to carry out all these procedures, what we are doing after the account is becoming bad, like I am trying to establish relationships, I am trying to find out from which account to which account amount has gone. If banker is able to establish relations well in advance and notify that here as a group. Now today, after the fraud has happened, you are trying to find out the relations and where the money has come and where the money has gone. If before sanctioning a term loan or a facility, if you are able to identify who is what, and if you are able to relate them and put it as a group and put a logic that any amount transferring from these group people, it has to be authorized and a sufficient document has to be put in place. Without that, the amount will not be dispersed or amount will not be transferred. If such kind of logic is written, probably 3 lakh crores would have not lost. The savings amount that we have deposited in the banks wouldn't have lost now. So coming back again, what I'm trying to say here is, because the banking internal financial controls are weak, this kind of things are being exploited by the bank. Now, why so much? Even if you look at the loan processing flowchart, you can see here, wherever it is red marked is a risk. It says account management team ensures security creation. This is a risk because this is manual process. Out of 30 processes, you see here 30 processes. Out of 30 processes, data entry is one 2, and 3. And all that 1, 2, and 3 data process are high risk in CBS. Now, this is what we need to. You can see here CBS has a dedupe check facility for mapping group borrowers. New CIF is created and account is opened. And this is what it says. And this is mapping of group borrowers, but this is not automatic. And this is what we need to highlight while we are carrying out the audit. And you can also see maker opens loan account by linking to the CIF. If linking of CIS is manual, and if it is not done, now you can also see inputs like credit facility, rating, rate of interest, limit, drawing power, repayment schedule, loan based on provided by term loan, account opening template, etc. All are high risks. And through all these FIRs, you can see here red flags that the banker himself is saying that this is a red flag. Banker in one of the fraud cases is saying payment routed through CC accounts were not commensurate. If it is not commensurate, it's a risk. Red flag is a risk in the bank. And for this risk, what control you have? There is no control. Whether it will affect the financial statements? Yes, it will affect the financial statements. Whether it will affect the financial statements? Yes, it is affecting the financial statements. But whether a risk is written, whether a risk control matrix is written, it is not written. Now, more than that, these are all the red flags bank itself has said. And more than that, please read this. Banker is complaining on the concurrent auditor. It is saying concurrent auditor has failed to reconcile. See, he is complaining to the CBI. Sir, please read it properly. Bankers are complaining to the CBI that the concurrent auditors are not doing their job properly. Sir, if they write this, CBI fellow will call us to his office asking us to explain when, after 4 years or 5 years. By that time, do we carry audit? Do we carry working papers like this? Do we carry working papers like this? What I said, are we carrying working papers to tell whatever I have written in my audit notes, whether do I have sufficient documents with me? Moreover, please look at here. Internal control weakness that allowed misappropriation. Bank is saying this. Sir, when bank is saying this, see the date. Sir, see the date. Please look at the date. When bank is saying 27 December 2021, they are saying that internal control weaknesses are existing in the bank. These are all available on the internet. I have just now shown you. You can download it. Now, overvaluation of property. They are saying so many, any fabricated sales figure, any instances of forgery. You can see all that internal control violations are being written in the statement here. Red flags and internal control weakness. More than that, acceptance of agriculture land as a security without considering the Surface Act. Surface clearly says only residential and commercial properties can be auctioned, but agriculture land is taking, meaning when they are entering the security details in the CBS is not saying anything. It is accepting any security you are giving. Even if you write security as that famous bridge in Calcutta, even if you write that name in the CBS will accept it. Now, to that extent, the CBS is configured. And these are the things which you need to highlight as a part of our IFC study, because banker himself is saying that there are internal control weaknesses. And we are simply signing the IFC blindly, permit me to say blindly, we are signing as internal effectively working. Internal controls are working effectively, we are saying. And you can understand what kind of impact our certificates will have if something goes wrong in the bank with respect to the loan. If unfortunately, if this which has become bad is the largest loan account in that branch, and we have not reported anything in LFR, we have not reported anything in IFC, if that account is fraud, and I'm damn sure that the CBI will be behind us for all these things. And hence, we need to carry out a proper due diligence audit as per the ICI guide, as per the ICI code of conduct. And this is about the integrated, this is about the loans, and this is about the diversions and so on. And last thing we have on term loan analysis, but I don't find much time. I can quickly sum up the term loan. There is something called goal seek. Say, for example, in the term loan, banker is saying this is my EMI. If banker is saying this is my EMI, and if banker is saying this is my sanction date, if banker is saying this is my term loan, banker is saying this is my EMI, if banker is saying that this is the rate of interest, if this is the rate of interest, you can find out the PMT. What is PMT? PMT is a formula. Where do you have this PMT? You have this PMT, which will make you to calculate EMI, So I am calculating EMI here by this formula: annual rate of interest, months, and loan amount. These are anyhow available in this term loan. I am calculating what can be the EMI with PMT. Now I got this PMT EMI. Now banker is saying his EMI is 23,561. Like in one of the column, banker is saying this is my EMI. So I am trying to find out if banker's EMI is this much. If banker's EMI is this much, what should be the loan term? For that, I am trying to calculate the difference between these. And for this, I am using for this difference to become zero. I am using goal seek. Let us see how goal seek will work. Goal seek. So I am saying here, this should become zero difference. If this will become zero difference by changing the cell to 24. Now, if banker's EMI is 23,561, then the number of EMI should be 36. But now banker is saying 24 EMIs only for this. I hope like this you have to validate. Now you can use a loop here wherein it will go on calculating for all these things. And that is what you have to do it for a loan state.
Just give me a minute. I think there is some network issue. I'll just. Friends, there is some technical issue at sir's end, so he won't be able to connect. I would request to wrap up the session and would request Sambhu Jhaji, our executive committee member, to kindly offer a vote of thanks to sir. He is on con call with me right now.
Thank you, Naveen. We had a very good session for bank audit as we are approaching for the bank audit, and most of the bank as of now, I think 4 of the banks already start allotting for their previous auditors. So it's a great session we have, and as the sir said that the use of Toffler.in. So ultimately, what we have to use the Toffler.in for the ultimate beneficiary owner of the company or an individual who have the have a net of the companies to snipe off the fund. So as a statutory auditor, we should look beyond the our papers, like as sir mentioned in the CBS system, like they sir mentioned in Kolkata, the famous bridge we can put as a security. So we have to go through, and most of the time we face this issue because in the branches we also have some communication lag. So what happens, they said ki file abhi nahi hai, and they have the tactics to kill our precious time because we have a time bound this assignment, and we need to comply all the audit within 12 to 15 days. So what they have a tactics ki paper yahan nahi hai, paper wahan hai, paper loan hub mein hai. So what sir suggests us ki we actually as a auditor we look beyond the transactions only. And in the CBS, sir very rightly, correctly pointed out that when we look for the security, we must go and check, as the sir mentioned example of SURFACI Act, as a and the security asset is a agricultural land. So in this point, I can we can recall this webinar to make a judgment ki whether if this is a large border, so we can actually put some extra time to get through all the security paper. And again the sir sir asked us to use the website of Toffler.in, where they sir actually shown us the like net web created by a company, how they can create a multiple layer of companies and corporates to snipe up the fund. So the with all these key thing, the Toffler.in and again the security person, we can actually conclude this session is a very much of a importance for as a statutory auditor and day-to-day life of a concurrent auditor also. Again, most of the time we are not able to access in a bank other Google, like other medias, or we can say other search engines. So what I suggest here, we can use our mobile phone because as sir says a Toffler.in. So again, into the webinar, I'll use my phone and check around 4 or 5 companies. As the sir says, this is very useful site. And again, I like to thank on on behalf of Views Exchange and the participant over Premna sir in his absentia for coming with us and allow us to grab all those knowledge which he had with the past experiences. So a very heartful thank to the sir for sparing a precious time in this March session to us. So in absentia of Premna sir, on behalf of Views Exchange and the participant, which again around 240 plus participants are live right now. So on behalf of these 240 plus participants and member of the Views Exchange, I would like to thank Sri Premnath sir to spare such a valuable session and say such a valuable time for this session. And thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Naveen ji.
Thank you, Shambhuji. Thank you, Premna ji. Sir is online with me. He was not able to connect. So what we will do, whatever chats we have, whatever questions we had, we'll try to compile it in a Word file and send it across to you. We'll share this video link to all our delegates who have attended today. And we'll try to get an answer also to all the questions which they have raised from your side and send it across to all the participants.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Naveen.
Thank you, Sarojji. Thank you, Naveen Singhal. I'll request Naveen to kindly assemble all the questions we have received on the chat box so that we can
already done.
We'll get an answer from him and we'll circulate all the answers to the delegates who are present there.
Okay, done.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Look forward for all of you joining from tomorrow's session.
Of course, yes.